Master the mental mind. Me, last night I watched a video by Laura Eisenhower where she was talking about people who are still in separation, the state the Illuminati takes advantage of and has morphed via mind control for their own purposes, and unity consciousness. She said to give up labels like Democrat and Republican and to realize the big picture, we're all one. Perhaps now that we have a common enemy, we'll wake up and realize that, who knows? Where politics is concerned, you have to remember that the two-party system was created by the deep state, and continuing to refer to others or yourself in these terms indicates your belief in separation. Yes, you have differing beliefs. Yes, it's crucial to get all on board right now, I understand the urgency of that. But there is a bigger picture to consider, the freedom of humanity to ascend and be sovereign. When you become sovereign and of unity consciousness, you enforce this freedom and claim it for yourself. Which makes me wonder why so many people believe we're so close to our solution when we still have a two-party system, one of which is evil and the other, which is trying to arrest the evil and reveal its heinous acts to the public, in an attempt to unify them. I don't think we're close to the solution. I believe we have a lot of hard work to do yet to unify this world. You have to agree with that, seeing as things are the way they are now. However, I do believe in miracles. I don't believe we'll achieve unity consciousness for all by believing in separation. People would be born in separation in these lower dimensions because they have bodies. That's proof of our separated state right there. But it's overcoming the limits of perception and of ability that the body creates for us that is the challenge in these lower dimensions. To understand life at a higher level, and that this higher level consciousness is trying to influence the lower dimensions by accessing the lower mind and aligning the lower mind with soul. We're still speaking with our mouths rather than using telepathy, and then walking rather than bilocating, so folks, we're just barely out of the starting gate. Stay positive for the future, but don't overestimate where we are now. Of course, the nefarious, evil dark ones who have overtaken this planet understood that. They understand this is the normal process of being an incarnated human, so they tweaked our DNA and constantly hit us with mind control programming to thwart this process and get us to serve them instead. They made themselves our so-called gods by morphing our lower minds into a way of thinking that serves their needs, not our own. Again, let's call a spade, they think they're our gods. If that doesn't turn your stomach, you've got a cast iron stomach. The Clintons, the Bushes, the Obamas, the Trudeaus, George Soros, the Rothschilds, and the Rockefellers, the Chinese Communist Party. They think they're our gods. That should piss you off. Anyone who claims their sovereignty knows you don't have a god on earth, but that you are a part of a god, the all that is, and you don't take direction from any other human. So what do you do about it? The task is to get soul connection. The way to get soul connection is to examine your own behavior. Being aware of what you're thinking all the time, and what you want to do, how you want to behave, is the route to self-mastery. I gave up drinking because I was a blackout drinker, for starters, and given to doing things that I wouldn't have done had I been sober. It led to me behaving in wild ways, driving while intoxicated, and doing things I regretted the next day if I was fortunate enough to remember what I did, and so I stopped. I also started meditating. And then working 12-step programs where they tell you constantly to keep the focus on yourself, and keep it off others. Why? Because you can't change others. You can change yourself though. Others will change when they want to. Since then, I've adapted my anti-matrix mind control repertoire to include a few other techniques, and they work. For one thing, I'm prone to being in a bad mood when I get out of bed because I have low blood sugar, so my day is often begun with a negative mindset, grousing and complaining about whatever subject it seems to find to be unsatisfactory that day. I often sit myself down on the side of my bed and just ask myself, you know where this is going, don't you? Yes, I do. It's starting off at miserable and it will cascade downhill into outright moodiness and anger. It'll come out sideways as sarcasm and a hatred of being alive. When you realize you've had a million bad moods and none of them has helped you one bit, you kind of see the futility in going there. And it works. I get up, go put my toast in the toaster, and eat my toast and have decaf coffee. You just have to know that complaining is an exercise in futility. Being miserable gives you nothing, it just robs you of your life, and giving into a bad mood makes the demonics happy because they get to feed, but it does nothing for you. You have to stamp out bad moods. Sometimes you get triggered and you're back in childhood time, in the past, reliving past pain. Well, there are ways to deal with that as well. One is by crying. Release the pain. If you have to get angry, get angry. However, make sure you don't get angry at anyone else. See what you're going through for what it is, something that needs to be released. That's all. Don't make anyone else the brunt of it and don't take it out on anyone else. It's your problem, they didn't create it and it's not their fault. Even if it concerns them, it's still not their fault because you reacted and stored the pain yourself. You could have laughed them off and walked away, not taking on any pain. You chose to swallow your pain and stuff it down until such time you could deal with it intelligently and compassionately. You have to understand when you're triggered, though, and with someone who has a lot of past issues, that could be any time you're angry or upset in any way. The other thing I look for is modeled behavior. For example, children learn from their parents by watching them. My father, as soon as he was challenged in any small way, would erupt in anger. My mother spent her life criticizing everyone around her and complaining, feeling sorry for herself all the time. My brother was the type who would laugh at me, and ridicule everyone for being less perfect than he was. These are the types of things that I saw modeled when I was a child, and I look for them in my present-day behavior because they are basically loops that keep you stuck. You have to break the loop by taking a deep breath and saying, I'm not going to get pissed off at this challenge, I'm going to do it calmly. I'm not my father/mother/brother/teacher/grandparent. I'm me. If I have to break it up into smaller pieces so I don't get annoyed with it, then I'll do it that way. But I will stay calm. I don't care how long it takes to do this, I will get it done, but I will not erupt. Look for behaviors modeled for you by usually adults in your childhood, but by anyone, and ask if they serve you well. If they don't, then work through them at first slowly, to change them, but work through them so you can at least tolerate having to do these things. Also, how many behaviors are you getting from the TV? Sometimes if I hear my inner critic going, I just say, stop, and it stops. I don't want to go there. I don't want to criticize anyone else, I don't want to be miserable, I don't want to indulge in this worthless behavior. That's the ego trying to gain self-esteem through putting others down, but we all know that the only self-esteem to be had is through the soul. The ego can't value itself, and everyone is learning and makes mistakes. Life on earth isn't perfect, but the process behind it is. If a driver cuts you off, understand that you're scared and that your angry reaction is one of fear. The critic will come out to attack them for being imperfect, as if it is. It's not. Life needs compassion. You need to have compassion for yourself then and for the other person who made a mistake. Ivo has spoken about this in many of our videos. Ivo, my dear, you are doing well. Me, well, Ivo, there are so many useless ways to think. Our lower minds can align with soul and be brilliant like our soul is, or be the bane of our existence, keeping us trapped in the futility of complaining, the unhappiness of negative thinking, and the hopelessness of attacking others. It's your choice. Do you want to be miserable or not? It's that simple. There are easy ways to get out of jail and set yourself free while leaving the shitty world of the Matrix and the dark parasitic entities behind. They can't touch you if you don't play their game. They can't touch you. Ivo, no, they cannot. Keep your frequency above the fourth dimension and they will have no effect on you. Me, Ivo, it's just a useless way of living. I watch my neighbor next door as he complains, whines, feels sorry for himself and then puts on weight every time he drinks a beer. He has anxiety and thinks drinking is the answer. This, of course, was what was modeled for him when he was younger, and he's caught in those loops. Ivo, this is true. It is a futile way of existence. And yes, there are parasites who enjoy it when you are miserable because you feed them. Me, it sounds incredible, but I've seen them. Being negative sucks. And it's so easy to deal with your head when it starts off on a rampage. I know the dark tries to get me to think miserable thoughts, and it's my choice whether I want to or not. I have control. Everyone needs to know that. If you're around people who are negative and complain chronically, etc., let me ask you why. What purpose are they going to serve in your life other than to bring you down? You can feel superior to them, but superiority is not soul. Soul isn't superior. Soul feels equal to all others. Ivo, this is true as well. When you spend enough time in both of these states, you understand the difference. The ego will harbor ideas that are illogical, for example, the idea that you can control others, or that you need to have others behave in certain ways in order to feel happy and safe. You do not need these. The healthier your mind, the better your boundaries, and in some cases you can see boundaries as attachment to certain behaviors. You do not need to have boundaries because you simply do not care about the person's behavior. If more of you would practice unattachment to other people's opinions or to your own, social media would be more peaceful. Why are you so attached to everyone agreeing with you? Me, I don't like people starting fights because of the negative energy they introduce into the conversation. Ivo, that is one point. However, if someone who otherwise would have no effect on your life is disagreeing with you, why would you care? Me, sometimes I think people are trying to have good conversations with loving, like-minded people on social media. They're looking for a discussion of mutual agreement so they can have a loving energy exchange. Ivo, yes. I could see that you would seek this because there is so little of it on your planet. Loving exchanges. But I say that you must understand, when you go into social media with expectations, then you might be let down. The old school way of relating works better than trying to relate to absolute strangers every day. You have your friends and you relate to them face to face instead of trying to converse with so many people who have so many different opinions. Me, true. Oh, by the way, folks, please look and see if this is happening to you as well. Speaking of being miserable, I've noticed that as of around the 1st of August we are chemtrailed more often. I've just had 2 months of summer sun, preceded by a few months of a nice spring without much rain. Now what they do is go 6 months of full chemtrailing, where the sky is dark and cloudy all the time. They've done it other years and it looks like they're doing it again this year. 6 months of chemtrailing, 6 months of sun. What I did was I learned to meditate using the violent flame to remove the chemtrails, and it works. I plan on hitting them hard this winter because I need to see the sun, otherwise my chronic fatigue will get a lot worse. I need the sun to help me feel better. It's possible to change the weather. I've been doing it. After I do a meditation, a couple hours later the sky will often clear. They'll chemtrail it again, but you need to keep at it. When they do it, you clear it. I just do meditation and envision the violet flame within me, and it is because I'm an indigo, and then I ask God to help. I do this for 15 minutes and it usually nets results. Ivo, yes, chemtrailing is still ongoing. This is also part of the Gates vaccine agenda. It serves many purposes, none of which are intended to bolster your health. Me, yes. Any more, Ivo? Ivo, I realize you are fatigued, my dear, and you require a nap. Me, I do. Ivo, you are rising earlier in an attempt to get you to go to bed earlier. Me, LOL. Ivo, you must take the Ayurveda seriously. Me, I don't see myself going to bed at 10 p.m. Ivo, it is best to get light during the day and stay off the computer at night time before you go to bed. This will mess up your circadian rhythms. Me, I have Canadian rhythms. I'm awake during the summer and sleep all winter. LOL, speaking of separation, nationality is separation. Ivo, I must work at getting my student to take this more seriously. It could help her enormously. Me, LOL I will.